everybody, and welcome to our homeschool video in our YOLO Family Van Life YouTube channel. So today we will be teaching you and us what simple machines are.
Right now, YOLO is outside resting,
And we are inside this apartment. So we're just resting for Christmas and New Year's and having lots of space. Okay.
Later we will tell you about simple machines in real life while repairing a very important necessity in YOLO.
Now, the 6 simple machines that we will start with are the lever, wheel and axle, pulley, incline plane, wedge, and screw. Okay, so we will start with the lever. A lever is a simple machine consisting of a beam or rigid rod pivoted to itself.
To have a lever, it has to have a rigid beam or rod. Rigid means hard, so that you can't have a noodle as the seesaw, or else it'll just tilt on both sides. And you have to have a fulcrum or pivot. That's the 6-inch mark or the eraser. And you have to have force versus movement. So if this was a real seesaw, let's say these three tokens were my dad, and this little red one is me and Zara. My dad could move like itty bitty bitty bitty, and me and Zara will go like up down really fast while he's just going a little bit.
The second simple machine is the wheel and axle. The wheel and axle is a machine consisting of a wheel attached to a smaller axle so that these two parts can rotate together, in which the force is transferred from one to the other. So the main parts in the wheel and axle is the material, which is the wheel and the axle. They rotate together and the force is transferred from one to another so that they can make something else spin.
And here I have an example of a wheel and axle. This compass is the wheel, and this pencil is the axle. So let's say this is a car wheel, and my hand is the engine. So my hand would turn the axle, and it would connect to the wheel and turn the wheel also. And it can also go vice versa. If I turn the wheel, the axis will turn also. So that's how you can also see this in wells. When you're driving, you'd use the wheel to steer, and the axis will do a lot of stuff that'll turn the wheels.
So now we are on the third simple machine, the pulley. So a pulley is a wheel on an axle or shaft that is designed to support movement and change of the direction of a cable or belt, which could also be a rope in most cases, and transfer the power between the shaft and cable or belt. So the 3 things that a pulley will need is a wheel on an axle shaft that will rotate it, and then you will also need a cable or belt, which most of the time we use ropes, and the movement will change the direction of the force and also direction. And Max has his examples.
So here's an example of a rope and a pulley. The pulley should be located here in real life. So let's say this ball of yarn is a boulder that I'm trying to pull up. So even if I pull this string sideways, this will go up, not sideways, because the pulley will change the direction to make the rope always go down no matter which direction I pull, and it'll keep going up since I'm pulling.
So now we are on our 4th simple machine. So that 4th one is an incline plane, also known as a ramp. So the description for it is an incline plane, also known as a ramp, is a flat supporting surface tilted at an angle, with one end higher than the other, used as an aid for raising or lowering a load. So it's a flat support. It's on an angle so that you're able to get to higher places. One end is higher than the other, so one end's high and one end's low. So then you can start at the lower end and work your way up. and then it's used to lower or raise objects.
Let's say this little red token guy is trying to put this eraser up here. So without the inclined plane, he'll just try to throw it up here, and that'll be like really, really hard. So if you have an inclined plane, it's a lot easier to push it up with the inclined plane instead of a completely vertical plane. And it also works going down because it's a lot safer for you and the package instead of just jumping down, which is very unsafe. And you'd see examples of these in delivery trucks where they would have a slope where you can push the boxes up into the truck. Slides in playgrounds, which is supposed to only go down. And roads that go up hills and down hills, and wheelchair ramps.
And I would like to add one more places that you use this inclined planes, Hot Wheel tracks. Okay, so now we will show you the fifth simple machine. The fifth simple machine is the wedge, a triangular shaped tool that is a portable inclined plane. It can be used to separate two objects or a portion of an object. So, a wedge is a triangular tool, like this knife. It's triangular with the triangle edge is on the sharp part. It's a portable inclined plane, and it separates two objects. So now, time for Max's description. Example.
Okay, so this plier, it's like a wedge, just as two wedges, one on each side. It's normally used to cut zap straps, but let's use the string instead. So, redo. It's normally used to cut zap straps, like here. And it has two wedges, so because of that, it'll cut through 2 times faster. And it also has kind of an example of a lever here when you squeeze it.
Let me try. This is not made for a kid's tool, so that's probably why it's harder for Max. Here we go.
Okay, so that's one example of a wedge. And here is another example of a wedge. All the time, to be a wedge is just a triangular shape. So if you look really closely, it's a triangular shape. So the wedge could be used to cut pretty much this, but I don't really want to wreck the bullet. And forks also have wedges. So when you poke your food with the fork, this fork, most forks have 4 points like this one. So that means it has 4 wedges. And another wedge is this cheese grater. So all of these little graters are wedges. So pretend this ruler is the cheese. It would wedge through the side of the cheese, making little bits of cheese. And the final example of a wedge are scissors. Much like pliers, they also have the lever here. And they're actually exactly like the zap strap cutters. They have 2 wedges, and they go together twice as fast, like this.
Okay, so now we are on the sixth and final simple machine, and it is the screw. A screw is a mechanism that converts rotational motion to linear motion, and a torque to a linear force. So the screw is a rotation that rotates and makes the linear motion happen, and we turn the screw to make a screw go straight.
And I have an example here of a screw. So here, everyone knows the phrase righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So that means if you're not familiar with it, if you turn it right, the screw will go in, and if you turn it left, the screw will go out. And also another example of the screw is on most water bottles, you would have to screw the cap on so that also this obeys the righty-tighty, lefty-loosey phrase.
They say, oh my God, I see the way you shine. Take your hand, my dear, and place them both in mine. You know you stopped me.
Welcome everybody to the continuation of learning simple machines. We have broke something really bad, and using simple machines, we will try to fix it. And the it is, dun dun dun, a Nerf gun! Okay, Max will see which Nerf guns are broken.
Okay, let's check this one. Nerf gun number 1, does it work? Works. And now Nerf gun number 2. Works. So if it works, we're gonna make the Nerf gun face to the right. If it's broken, we'll face it to the left. This Nerf gun. Uh-oh, it's broken. So here, it doesn't lock, so whenever we reload it, it automatically fires, and we don't want that, or else you might shoot yourself. Okay, this one. Okay, this one's broken, and you can see why. The reload lever, it fell out. So this is one of the simple machines, a lever. And yeah, so these are 4 Nerf guns. 2 of them broken, 2 of them good. Hello, right now we have 2 broken Nerf guns, and we're gonna take them apart and try to turn them into one good one.
And on our way, taking them apart, we will show you all the simple machines we find on the way.
And right now, I already made a simple machine, as you can see here. It's a lever, or as you would think, seesaw. Okay, let's start.
Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. As you can see, we're using a screwdriver, and that means there's a screw inside, so that's one of the simple machines, a screw. And this screw holds these 2 pieces together, or anything that's inside this Nerf gun. So right now, we're trying to take it apart. You turning the right way?
Yeah.
That seems to be the right max.
Now, screw number 1 for this gun. Screw number 2 for this gun.
I haven't gotten one out yet. Screw number 1 for my gun.
Screw number 3 for my gun.
Screw number 2 for my gun.
Screw number 4 for my gun.
Screw number 3 for my gun. Screw number 4 for my gun. Why are my screws like stuck? Number 5 for my gun.
Screw number 5 for my gun.
Screw number 6.
Screw number 6.
Don't shoot us! Whoever, cameraman, don't shoot us!
Screw number 7.
Evil cameraman! Screw number 7.
Screw number 8. Spring number 1. These are very, very greasy.
Screw number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Trigger number 1. Pin number 1. Big machiny thing number 1.
Little metal bar to hold the trigger in.
This thing number 1.
Or trigger number 1.
This thing number 1. Cover number 1. Cover number 2. Done.
Shine on me, shine on me.
Okay, so right now I'm gonna show you all the parts of the Nerf gun. So first we have the 9 screws here, and I'm gonna take out the outside layer to reveal the inside body. So first, we have the spring here, and the inside body, orange, and inside here, if you look really close, you'll see a cylinder or piston that's covered with grease so that it can move back really fast. And lever here, which is you'll see on the outside part. And we have the lever here, also a trigger, and the pin.
So the two main differences we found here are the handle part with the spring. So these two are Max's pieces. Max had the broken handle as earlier in this video. So now it broke into 2 pieces. So mine, as you can see, it's still one piece because the handle is not broken. Okay, so now we're going to try to find out what's wrong in my gun. Okay, so now we are going to compare the 2 triggers. This one is Max's and this one's mine. So what we realized here is that mine is a little more worn out than Max's. So, and also at the tips here, mine is also a little worn out than Max's. So that could affect the way the gun locks when you pull the trigger, because this part is the part that locks it so that before you shoot it, it doesn't shoot automatically by itself.
So here I'm gonna show you this little pin here. It acts as a pivot point for the trigger, which is acting as a lever. So yeah.
Okay, so over here, the reason why this point, the wedge, is not attaching on to this piston is because the wedge is dull. So what this does is to make sure they attach, they both have to be strong enough. So it clicks in like that, and then when you're ready to shoot, it fires. But sometimes, since this is broken and this part is dull, it fires automatically because the connection between the piston and the wedge is not strong enough. Okay, so here are the 2 levers. At the end of each lever is a wedge. And for a wedge to work properly, it needs to have a good grip to whatever it's holding onto. So here, one of these 2 are dull. So right now we're just trying to find out which one is strong enough to hold onto the cylinder.
Okay, so here we have 2 pistons. And this is the part where this wedge here hooks onto. So this one, the lever and the piston are connected very well. But here, the lever and this piston, they broke, so now they're no longer connected.
Okay, so now it's time to compare these 2 orange body pieces. So we found one bad thing about this one. If you notice, this hole is bigger than every other hole. It is because when we were taking one of the screws out, it took a lot of this orange gunk out. So that means that this hole became bigger since lots of its material came out. And that means if you get a brand new screw, like this one, it won't fit as proper as the other screws because it's too big and it won't hug it enough to secure it. So now this means this orange body piece is bad, and this one is good, so we will use this on our good Nerf gun that we will go.
Okay, so over here in the trigger, we have an inclined plane and a lever. And the inclined plane here, it's, well, as we said in our earlier in this video, an inclined plane is a diagonal surface. And yeah.
Okay, so now I will show you the other 3 simple machines that we found in this Nerf gun. So the first one that I will tell you about is the screws, which we explained to you earlier in the video, which that is pretty obvious. And then we also have the pulley, which is here in this piston. So what this does is they blow air through here, and this area is where it changes directions to make it a pulley. It's not exactly with a rope, it's with air. So this part changes the direction the air is going to. It's like a rope. And now we have the wedge, which is over here. It like digs into this part over here of the piston, and it's just goes into it like a normal wedge, a triangular wedge like this. Okay, so now you can see it's dark outside, and Max is just on the side getting ready. So yeah, now I will assemble the Nerf gun, the good Nerf gun, with all the good parts that we have shown you. And now all the bad parts are gone. Okay, I found a mistake. So this part, it's not all even, and I was supposed to make this face that way, not this way, because I thought these 2 sides are not even, and I thought they were even when I put this in, so now I have to just reverse it. Okay, so now turns out I have to take this whole thing out again. Okay, so you put this in, and it should click a little bit. Just have to find the little holes to put them into. Okay, clicked in. Now you get the other side, or this piece, the lever. So the bottom screws are now in. All I have to do is put these side screws in. Okay, so now I put it all together. Now let's check if this actually works. So I will get this bullet, slide it in.
Aren't you tired of the drama? You use your words like they are knives. I don't need that type of drama and trying to be tough all the daytime.
For watching! If you enjoyed these homeschool videos, make sure to let us know in the comments and we can probably make more. If you have anything that is broken, try to fix it instead of throwing it in the landfills and buying more plastic to pollute the earth. If you have fixed anything like this or found another simple machine we have missed in the Nerf guns, make sure to let us know in the comments.